The implementation of Donald Trump's tariff plan, if we can even call it that, is going about as well as we'd expect. And by that, I mean it's terrible. It is already causing economic catastrophe. Prices are going up. The stock market is going down. And worst of all for Donald Trump's little baby ego is that other countries are responding, as we all expected they would, and as the leaders of those countries have been saying for weeks and months now. And it's got Donald Trump pretty furious, especially a response from Justin Trudeau that has made him double down on how he feels about our neighbors to the north. And we are going to get into that. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really means a lot to me. Now let's get into what Justin Trudeau had to say in response to Donald Trump's tariff plan becoming official and what has Trump so upset.
Right now, we're showing the new American administration that they have a strong partner in Canada when it comes to upholding border security, all while simultaneously underscoring that we won't back down, that if tariffs are implemented against Canada, we will respond. We won't relent until tariffs are removed, and of course, everything is on the table. Part of what this council has been doing is pulling together perspectives from across industries, from across different parts of the country, to make sure that anything we do will be fair right across the country, that all Canadians will share in the job of standing up for our interests and, quite frankly, standing up to defend the most successful trading relationship in the world. One of the things that this council has been very strong on is saying that this is the opportunity for Canada to move forward internally on free trade within Canada. As we look at challenges with the United States, as we sign free trade deals over the past years with the world, we know that internally, within provinces and across territories, there are barriers that exist that would be better for Canadian businesses, Canadian workers, and the Canadian economy if we removed. So we have stepped up our actions on internal trade. As we speak right now, Minister Anita Anand is hosting a meeting of provincial trade ministers elsewhere in this building to move forward on ambitious proposals on internal trade. We know there are things we can do to increase Canada's competitiveness and effectiveness in a more complex world, and moving forward on internal trade with new energy is something that this council has been directly encouraging us and responsible for us doing. Of course, I won't sugarcoat it. Our nation could be facing difficult times in the coming days and weeks. I know Canadians might be anxious and worried, but I want them to know the federal government, and indeed all orders of government, have their backs. That was the topic of conversation 2 days ago when I had a First Ministers meeting with all premiers. Nos entreprises, nos syndicats, notre société civile et la grande majorité des premiers ministres des provinces et de dizaines de millions de Canadiens d'un océan à l'autre parlent d'une seule voix. Le Canada est prêt à toute éventualité et c'est en grande partie grâce à vous qui avez dédié tant de votre temps et votre énergie pour protéger le Canada et le préparer. Now is the time to stand united, to stand together, to work together, as Canadians often do, to defend our country. That's exactly what we're going to do.
I don't know if you all got this sense or if you felt this. Watching Justin Trudeau speak is really strange because you're like, oh, there's this guy who speaks in complete sentences and acts like a leader and is dignified and has put thought into the words coming out of his mouth. It's not just spewing bile like our current president. It's just a weird experience seeing other world leaders, but Justin Trudeau with a response making clear that Canada will not be pushed around by Donald Trump, and Donald Trump is causing these problems. And how did Donald Trump feel about that? Not great. He wasn't happy. And so when he was asked about whether or not these tariffs are a negotiating tool, he said, no. He said this.
All three of them. And in one case, they're sending massive amounts of fentanyl, killing hundreds of thousands of people a year with the fentanyl. And in the other two cases, they're making it possible for this poison to get in, number one. And number two, we have big deficits, and it's something we're doing. And we'll possibly very substantially increase it or not. We'll see how it is. But It's a lot of money coming to the United States. As you know, we have about a $200 billion deficit with Canada, getting close to $200 billion. They've treated us very unfairly. And I say, why should we be subsidizing Canada? It's wonderful. I have so many friends in Canada. It's a great place.
Is there a concession you're looking for, sir?
No, we're not looking for a concession. And we'll just see what happens. We'll see what happens. And with Mexico, it's the same thing. We have a $250 billion deficit. And
Donald Trump is so obsessed with strength that he's weakening our country in an attempt to seem like a big boy on the world stage. I have my big boy tariffs, saying that Canada has been so horrible to us. They've been so bad. And so now what? He's going to make, literally, I was about to say, so he's going to make us pay for it? Literally, he is. He is going to make us pay for it, to pay for his ego, to pay for how uncertain he is with himself, to pay for how unserious he is. He's quite literally making us pay for it. 25%, 50% price increases, courtesy of Donald Trump. And when he was asked about those very real price increases that companies have been preparing for already by slowly raising prices, he said this.
Absolutely. The European Union has treated us so terribly.
You promised Americans to try to reduce costs, and so many of the products that would be tariffed, when they come into the country, the outgoing country is not paying the tariff. The buyers in the United States pay that, and then that's passed on to consumers in most instances.
Sometimes.
How would you expect to have prices come down if you have such a broad plan for tariffs? And what do you say to the voters who want to see you reduce everyday costs?
Well, let me just tell you that I got elected for a lot of reasons. Number one was the border. Number two was inflation, because I had almost no inflation. And yet I charged hundreds of billions of dollars of tariffs to countries. And think of it, I had almost no inflation, and I took in $600 billion of money from other countries. And tariffs don't cause inflation, they cause success. They cause big success. So we're going to have great success. There could be some temporary short-term disruption, and people will understand that. I had that when I negotiated some of the good deals for the farmers. And unfortunately, those deals have been led astray by Biden and his people because they didn't enforce the deals.
Again, you compare, they're not statements, they're not sentences, they're not anything. When you compare what Trump says to just a few minutes ago with Trudeau, it's worlds apart. It's crazy to see. And of course, prices are going to go up. That's what happens. Even Republicans admit that. Do you know what's really funny? The new Republican line on tariffs is that it's patriotic to pay more for things. That like pushing back against mean Canada is patriotic, so you should pay 50% more for whatever good it is coming in. It's ridiculous. And Trump knows that prices are going to go up. It's why he said this.
Tomorrow's tariffs include oil.
What?
Will tomorrow's tariffs be inclusive of Canadian crude?
I'm probably going to reduce the tariff a little bit on that. We think we're going to bring it down to 10% on the oil.
If Trump thought tariffs wouldn't cause prices to go up, and we know Donald Trump really cares about gas prices. It's his big thing. Energy, energy, energy. Drill, baby, drill. Why wouldn't he make the tariffs bigger? Why only 10%? Why did you say you wanted to lower the one on oil? Is it because you know that if it was higher, all that oil we get from Canada would be more expensive? Gas? Oh, you're starting to get it, Donald. Gas would be more expensive. Oh, so you do understand, Donald, that you're raising prices. Of course he does. And of course everybody should. Justin Trudeau literally warned us. Said it right here.
Incredibly proud of being Canadian. One of the ways we define ourselves most easily is, well, we're not American. There is such a depth of pride that's not actually an issue. What I think is happening in this is President Trump, who's a very skillful negotiator, is getting people to be somewhat distracted by that conversation to
take away from the conversation around 25% tariffs on oil and gas and electricity and steel and aluminum and lumber and concrete, and everything the American consumers buy from Canada is suddenly going to get a lot more expensive if he moves forward on these tariffs. And that's something that I think we need to be focusing on a little bit more.
I feel like I'm living some like alternate reality. He's a buffoon and he's our president, and I just like, it baffles me every day. I go in and out of the states of despair, to be honest, shock, depression, and then sometimes I'm just speechless, left without words. It's only it gets comical until I snap out of it and realize we got to deal with this guy and the lies that they're pushing out. Like, take a look at what Carolyn Levitt had to say about Donald Trump's tariff plan.
And he will continue to effectively utilize tariffs.
If those tariffs do increase prices for Americans, will the administration reverse them?
That's a hypothetical question, and the president is intent on ensuring that he effectively implements tariffs while cutting inflation and costs for the American people. And, you know, the media has this way of just looking at everything in a microscope rather than looking at the whole of government economic approach that this president is taking. He will effectively implement tariffs. He's also, as I just answered Prince Stephen's question, committed to tax cuts. He's also clearly committed, as evidenced by his executive orders, to unleashing the might of our energy industry, which we know will eventually drive down inflation. And all the other economic measures that this president has made will have a Trump incoming economic boom, just like we saw in our first term.
And has the White House found any...
I will not be answering your hypothetical about the very real situation that we are going to cause. It's too logical, your question. Oh, man, she's bad at that job. It's crazy. It's crazy. It is crazy. That's all I had to say. I usually have a little bit more, but we don't need any additional commentary on this. We know what the tariffs do. We know who pays for them. You are a smart person. You don't need me to tell you. You understand the basic economics. Our president doesn't. And so we're going to call him out. We're going to do it every single day on the show. And if you want to support that, as always, man, I'm just like, I'm losing it at this point. But you can hit that subscribe button. You can leave a like on this video. And if you stuck around to the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I will see you soon.